Okay, hey there guys, so in this video I just want to go over the basic rotation kind of for Nimrod and the basic reasons why I think his kit is so impactful in the current game, in the current meta. I'm not going to show all the stuff because I've already shown a fair bit of it. I know it's been a bit of a gap between this and the previous one. So for this, I just went with a very high power gain synergy team because a lot of his abilities are based around his specials. So I showed this in like the first video. You want to try to time that SP1 when you're building him up so you get both the energize and the energy vulnerability. They both add a fair bit to his kit, with the Energize being a lot of extra power gain and the energy vulnerability is a lot of damage, right? So for a longer fight, that is what you want. You want the Energize and you want the energy vulnerability, so that way you can get to your special 2 a lot quicker. With at max sig, like here you can see it drops off 500 here. I know I switched trains of thought there really quick, I'll get right back to it. Right there, because I had energy vulnerability drop off, you can see it loses 500 damage. So you're losing 1,000 damage per second by not having the energy vulnerability. Plus with the energy vulnerability, your base attacks deal more damage because all of your hits are energy damage. And he also has that synergy with, it's not technically confirmed, but everyone knows it is, it's with Omega Sentinel, where it's going to give him incinerate damage, which incinerates are also still energy, so it still applies here. And obviously the more armor up buffs you get, the more damage you do, so I really like trying to over parry with him sometimes in like a fight if I'm trying to squeeze out as much damage as I can. And then the other part was with the, yes, at max sig it's a 60% I believe energize buff, which basically makes it so using a special 1 is not even half a bar of power, if you think about it like that, right? Like if it's basically as if you had energy reserve or power reserve, right? Where it's using less than half. So when you're at max sig especially, using a special 1 with him to get the energize buff is almost as fast. It's like a little bit slower than just building straight up to an SP2, and that's actually really crazy if you actually like think about it like that. Obviously in like a sub 200,000 health pool fight, right, like war where you're looking at like 130 to like 170, you really just need the SP2. But when you're now looking at like Act 7 here, right, like this is an Act 7 Magneto here, he has 320,000 health, you just need more damage. So this I believe is 7.1. I wanted to show off how tanky he is. So Magneto without getting heavied is not obviously going to be the best show, I guess, of this. But again, right, his passive shocks work on Magneto because they're passives. And I was trying to show off his cowardice debuff here. But this right here is just how girthy this champion is. You ready? I'm going to skip the SP3, I think. Oh no, I actually let this one play all the way through. I skipped most of the rest. It's only 11,000 damage from a 7.1 special 3. And that was just because of my armor up buffs. So on this one, I believe I'm going to get him to have a cowardice debuff or 2. And I end up eating a ton of special 3s in this fight. Like that was the goal going into this fight, was I wanted to see like how tanky Nimrod was going to be here. Because I wanted to see it. I wanted to see like how many cowardice I could stack up, but I was having trouble doing that, so then I decided I wanted to see a special 3. So here I have like 4 or 5 armors and a cowardice. So I skipped the special, right? The first one did 11, that did 3.5. He literally does a medium for the same damage. Now here I use my SP3. I just wanted to do it because his SP3 looks kind of cool. He gets to control the sentinels. So his SP3 itself is kind of like eh. It has that decent burst of energy damage, so it does 30k damage, but you're just better off using your SP2 for damage, and his heal on SP3 just isn't quite worth it. I wanted to have one more special 3 done to me, so this is now the 3rd special 3 I've tanked in a single Act 7 fight, 10k damage. He ate them all like a champ. So now here is, I think, a really useful piece of his kit that isn't quite being noticed. So this is 7.2. Yeah, 7.2, and it has a 75% tenacity, but you also want to apply shock debuffs. So in this first combo here, I get really lucky because of Black Widow Deadly Origin's ability accuracy reduction, and just like generally getting lucky. But with tenacity, right, the 75%, you're supposed to use shocks or incinerates for this. It has like, I think it has incinerate and shock vulnerability, so you get 200% attack when you're using shocks or incinerate on the opponent, but because of the what's it called? Why can't I use words right now? The tenacity. It makes it so it's very hard to keep those up. And there's other places where this is useful. Something like in 7.3, we've been seeing nodes like Livewire plus the shock vulnerability node, but you're also seeing something like Redoubled Determination or Right Back at It, where right for her, she was sometimes losing her shocks because of the tenacity. It didn't quite show as well as I wanted to there because of her ability accuracy reduction and her just being a strong enough champion because of the way this node works. But because of how Nimrod works, he just puts a bunch of passives on the opponent, right? The energy vulnerability on his SP1, it's a passive. And right here, I'm trying to time the combo so that way I'll get the energy vulnerability and the energize again. So right, that's a passive on him, so he cannot get it. He just cannot shrug it off. Now right here, I'm gonna parry. I'm gonna wait for my Titan mode or Blitz mode to come back, and my shocks also passive, so he cannot shrug them off. And the same would apply for Right Back at It with like shock vulnerability. Is I don't have to worry about the fact that if he goes debuff immune, I'll still keep all my damage. I showed that in another video. So I really like the fact that they're not debuffs for him, they're passives. Passives just allow you to ignore more nodes. So then over here, I just wrote up a quick little thing. The keys of Nimrod's usefulness: he has high shock damage, and you can now get a synergy for Incinerate, which that gives him 2 types of damaging debuffs, which he can use, and he can pick one. All of his hits are energy damage, so he bypasses stuff like Korg and all of those nodes, physical resistance nodes. There's a lot that gets around. Mutant hunting, he ramps up just so much faster. He's so much smoother to play against mutants, and a lot of the mutants have the buffs that he targets, right, with the insane regen and prowess control. He has armor. He has a lot of armor up buffs. Very easy to get armor up buffs. Very similar to Colossus. Just parry or wait a couple seconds, which you can use those for Havoc. You can use those for buffed up. You can use them just to increase your durability. Power Drain and Cowardice are super good debuffs. The Power Drain isn't the best Power Drain in the game, but as you saw in that Magneto fight, it does keep them off of SP3 unless you're intentionally trying to like push them there. Now, one of the things I like, because right, I'm not like a highest spending player, I don't have tons of SIGs and stuff. No SIG, oh, that's a typo there, I'm sorry about that, but I don't really have the time tonight to like fix that. So no SIG, still fine. Low SIG, sure. High SIG, insane. It scales perfectly all the way up. He doesn't lose anything from not having it, but he gains so much from being at max SIG, and synergies are just not needed for him. Right, and then just all of his base stuff, he doesn't do too many things, I guess you could say, but he does a few things and he does them really well. And I really just love the way his SP2 burst damage works, and it nukes down a lot of fights very quickly. I hope this little Nimrod detour for my channel has been helpful and informative for some of you people. He's a really, really fun champion. I really encourage you guys to take a deeper look at him for yourself and look at some places that you can use him. That'll be it for this video. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.